Summer me time is shaping up to be tense yet again with the debt ceiling debacle that we had last year. Douglas Holtz-Eakin is with us. He was with us then, too, by the way, and he's worried about the debt ceiling just being the beginning of all this. He actually had to put up with the two of us coming to D.C. last summer. Things got so dire to do our show. That was a Friday when the whole thing was coming to a head. But you think that this time it's about more than just the debt ceiling. You want to see those tax cuts extended, which I think might be kind of a tall order this time around. I'm not sure.
Well, I think there are two big issues where action now is far better than waiting until after the election and doing things at the last minute. Certainly it's the case with the tax cuts, because we're going to see, for example, the dividend tax go from 15 to 44%.
Yeah.
And if that's looming out there, you're going to start to see investors get nervous in September and October. They're going to dump their dividend-paying stocks, to shuffle their portfolios. It's a lot of disruption that just doesn't have to happen. And we'd be much better served to simply extend them now.
For a number of these, the Democrats are going to dig in on that this time, I think. And in order to get them to make some sort of a deal, I know last time the president did extend the Bush tax cuts, the Republicans are going to have to give on something, don't you think? And if so, what would it be that they would give back in that type of a negotiation?
I think this is very straightforward, which is you simply don't want to do any harm to the economy, and that the election correctly will give us the parties in the House, the Senate, and the White House who will fundamentally have to take on America's problems. So simply extend the current policy for 6 months or a year, and let the winners of the elections do the serious reforms next spring. We know that has to happen. Think about the debt limit. I mean, that's a very straightforward case where we know we have a problem. It's a debt problem. We know that there are two parts to good governance, which is, yes, raise the debt limit, but also take on the problem. And we saw Speaker Boehner.
This will go down to the end again for the simple reason that the Democrats will come out and say there's no option of not raising the debt ceiling. We can't not raise it. And the Republicans say, well, we can't raise it with, what's called a clean debt ceiling increase. We have to get something in return, and they'll both fight back and forth until 11:59:30, and then with 10 seconds left, they'll decide or something.
But at some point, the evidence has to be important in this, right? I mean, let's face it. A clean debt increase would be a disaster from a market perspective. It would say that the United States is not prepared to take on its real problem, which is the debt, not the limit.
But so would not raising it from a market perspective, from just blowing through it.
And again, no one who's serious is saying, hey, let's not raise it. What we're saying is, let's get it done, and let's get the reforms in there. And, we're going to hear lots about taxes, but former President Clinton said it very clearly last week. He said, look, you can raise my taxes to 100%. We won't solve the problem. So the problem is spending and entitlement reform. The principle that was put out last week by Speaker Boehner and echoed by Senate Minority Leader McConnell was, let's get $1 worth of spending cuts or reforms for $1 of debt limit increase. That's following your nose.
Got to run right now, but it's always great to see you, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Good to see you.
Douglas Holtz-Eakin with us from D.C.